Well, hello, everybody. Welcome along to Sportsbet TV. We're looking forward to a brilliant week's racing because, of course, there's not only Glorious Goodwood in Britain, but there's the fantastic racing at the Galway Festival, which I'll be looking at a little bit later in the week for you. But I'm looking at the first 2 days of Glorious Goodwood, and I've got a selection for you on each of the first 2 days. Both of these free selections available here at Sportsbet. And if you're new to this service, where I've been concentrating on trying to find decent prize winners over the last 3 years, then please press the subscribe button just below this screen. And if you've been with us on Saturday, I gave you 2 selections. The first, Hierarchy, he didn't get away very well, and I'm afraid his race was run really very, very early on. He never got going. But I'm very happy to say that Buyers pretty much panned out as I hoped, even though it was a hot favourite. She ran a cracking race. She really had improved last time out at Catterick up to 2 miles, and she came there with a very strong challenge before doing battle with the favourite over the last 2 furlongs, and it was nip and tuck, but probably because quite a few of us were trying to help her over the finishing line. She just about got there. And I hope you were on at 13-2 each way. Buyers, who won for us on Saturday. So that set us up nicely for this week and Glorious Goodwood. I am tipping quite extensively at Goodwood and Galway over the course of the next 5 days at my Patreon service out in front. And if you want to join that and get in time for the 2 big meetings this week, and of course moving on later in the month to other big meetings, including of course York's Ebor fixture, then just click the link below this screen, the Patreon link, and have a look and see if you're interested in signing up. We'd be more than happy to have you coming along. Well, I'm going to take you to my very first selection, which is at Goodwood on Tuesday. They're forecasting the ground to be good to soft, possibly soft in places. And I've got a big price fancy for you on day 1, and it is in the feature race at 4:35, the Group 1 Goodwood Cup. It's off at a later time than usual. Now, there's something of a rematch going on here from the Ascot Gold Cup of 5 or 6 weeks ago, with the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 7th, 9th and 10th place finishers all doing battle once again. And quite understandably, the market leader is the unbeaten Ascot Gold Cup winner, Courage Mon Ami, for John and Thady Gosden, who put up a really tenacious effort at Ascot to defeat the reopposing Coltrane, who's back to have another crack at him. And that was in a steering finish to the Gold Cup. We just don't know how good Courage Mon Ami could be. He could be anything, never tasted defeat. And having dominated this division, of course, previously with Stradivarius, he's really come along at the right time for the Gosdens. The only question mark about him is that he's never run on testing ground. So that rather adds another element into the equation, but the track should be no problem because he's won here. In the past, he won on his handicap bow over 1 3/4 miles off 96. Really exciting horse. If he handles the ground as well as he does a good surface or a quick surface, then he's going to be very hard to beat. Coltrane, of course, for Andrew Balding, will be trying his best. He's absolutely rock solid and a credit to connections. He was only 3/4 of a length behind Courage Mon Ami at Ascot, having done battle with him over the last furlong and a half. And he is proven on the ground, so he does have that much in his favour. He was also 4th in this race last year against 2 real star turns, Kyprios and Stradivarius, and he looks once again sure to be on the premises. We know exactly where we stand with him, though. Whereas his Ascot conqueror, Courage Mon Ami, we don't know how much more improvement there could be. He could be £7 better on Tuesday than he was at Ascot. We'll have to see. Now, one horse for whom the easy ground is going to be a big plus is Emily Dickinson, trained by Aidan O'Brien. She ran really well when she was 4th at Ascot last time, and she appeared to be feeling the ground because she carried her head really awkwardly, I thought, throughout the final 2 furlongs, as if she was a little bit uncomfortable on the fast ground. She also is dropping back to 2 miles, which I think is going to help her. And she's from, one of the world's top yards, so there can never be ruled out of any sort of a contest. And then back in 7th place 6 weeks ago was last year's St. Leger winner, Elder Alderov, trained by Roger Varian, for whom the ground was no problem, but who appeared not to see out the 2.5 miles. So I think he'll be much better back at the 2 miles. He's only rated £1 below Courage Mon Ami as well. And then you've got Giovaletto for Marco Botti, who was third in the St. Leger and then got his revenge on Elder Alderhoff in the Group 2 Yorkshire Cup earlier this season when they were both running for the first time this year. And he's been kept fresh since then. So he's quite an interesting horse, is Giovaletto, another one who is on the upgrade and may well get involved. Now, onto my selection. What I can tell you about this race is that the last 5 winners of the race have all started at 6-4 or shorter. So that shows that there's always been a strong favourite. But this year, they're betting around 9-4 the field. And that's an indication that this is more open than has been the case for some time. And as such, I'm looking to a horse who seems to have been forgotten by many people to bounce back and outrun his double-figure odds. And that horse is Lone Eagle. He's trained by Rafe Beckett and is the mount of Rossa Ryan. He's a horse who's been a really good performer in his time and he's taken on some of the best in middle distance races over the last few seasons. He won a listed race at Goodwood over 1 3 miles in the spring of 21. And then he went on to run the race of his life for former trainer Martin Mead when he failed by just a neck to beat Hurricane Lane in the Irish Derby. Now, that was a great performance. It was a brilliant race as well. And he led until he was caught in the last 2 strides there. After that, he went off at just 7-2 for the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth stakes last year at Ascot, but he ran no sort of a race behind Adair and Mishrif. Clearly, something was amiss. And that was back in 2021, of course, not last year. And it was last season that he struggled really to find his form after 10 months off. There was obviously some sort of a problem. I think he had some sort of a cracked joint, if I remember rightly. And he joined Rafe Beckett this April, having really gone astray last season. He would have needed his first run back. And then he ran a really good race when he was second to the mudlover Hamish in the Group 3 Ormond Stakes on soft ground at Chester. And last time out, Connections decided to step him up a mile in trip. Now, that's a massive leap. And that was in the Ascot Gold Cup. And for a few moments, as they came round the home turn, and he went by and on into the lead with 2 furlongs to run, it looked as if he might be about to spring a massive surprise. But quite clearly, to my way of thinking, he ran out of juice. He just ran out of gas. And he didn't stay the 2.5 miles. Nonetheless, it was still a very good effort. It showed that he still has a lot of ability. And I think that now, dropping back to 2 miles, this could be ideal for this entire son of Galileo, who I think might have just found his right trip. So he's 2 from 3 overall at Goodwood, a track he really relishes. Any further rain, and there's plenty of it about, could enhance his chance. And I think he can get right in amongst them. Now, when I first made my notes earlier today, he was 20-1 available with quite a few firms. Last time I looked, and I'm recording this on Monday evening, the only ones left at 16-1 were the Betfred Sportsbook. And I think that is a pretty good price. 16-1 each way for Lone Eagle. I think he's worth a chance in the Goodwood Cup on Tuesday at 4:35. Wouldn't surprise me if we see more money for him if the heavens open. And then I'm going to take you on to Wednesday, where there's plenty of good racing at Goodwood, but you're going to have to wait until the last race of the day for my selection, which is on Wednesday at 5:20 at Goodwood in the 7 furlong World Pool Handicap. They're forecasting it, of course, in advance, good to soft in places, 17 runners. Now, Richard Hannon has been the man to follow in this race of late. He's won it 3 times in the last 5 years, which is a pretty tremendous record. He runs Dark 30, who was an excellent staying on third in a Newmarket 6 furlong Heritage Handicap last time. And I think he will be suited by the return to 7 furlongs. Now, he also runs the recent Sandown winner Classic, who I thought stuck to his guns really well to win over 7 furlongs at Sandown last time, and he's only gone up a couple of pounds. And both the Hannon runners, I think, have live chances. Tom Ward is going to saddle Farasi Lane, who stayed on well to win at Ascot over 7 furlongs in a handicap last time, and the runner-up has come out and won since in a fair event on Saturday, so he's rather franked the form. And Farasi Lane has only gone up £1 for that win, which came as he had dropped back in trip, having been running previously over 10 furlongs. So of late, he's fairly unexposed at this kind of a trip. Now, also in the winners' enclosure last time out was David O'Mara's Darkness, who saw it out best over a mile to win on fast ground at Newmarket 3 weeks ago. He's gone up £3, but despite top weight, he's not at all out of it, and the O'Mara team are really flying at the moment. Now, he also runs a horse called Ross Collin, who was second at Beverley on heavy ground last time out. I don't think he's been showing enough, really, to be able to take a handicap of this nature. I suppose that's tempting fate, but I just think Ross Collin has it to do. But I think Thunderball for Paul Cole, a winner at Newbury in May before finishing an excellent fourth over a mile in the Britannia Handicap at Royal Ascot last time, is one for the shortlist. The only question mark about Thunderball is that he hasn't run on any ground worse than good thus far. So whether he's going to handle this ground is open to question. And then I come on to the selection here. Well, Charlie Johnston, as you know, has made no secret that, like his father before him, this is the meeting that he targets every year, and he wants to have winners here more than anywhere else, even at Royal Ascot, he says. So he runs 2 in this handicap, and the stable jockey, Joe Fanning, is going to be on board Urban Sprawl, who's a course and distance winner earlier this season. And he was a superb third in the Britannia Handicap later on. I just don't know what happened to him last time out at Newmarket a few weeks ago. It's hard to fathom. He was odds on and he finished last of 6. Now, it might have been that the race came a bit too soon after having a real tough race at Royal Ascot, but he does need to bounce back. But as we know, the Charlie Johnston horses are tough as teak, so it wouldn't surprise to see him put up a much improved effort. But my narrow preference is actually for the other Charlie Johnston runner, who's called Love de Vega. And Frankie Dettori, no less, is booked to ride. Now, Love de Vega, the winner of a Nottingham 6 furlong novice stakes in a Newmarket 7 furlong handicap at the start of last season. He also went on at Ascot last September to go close before he ran three rather poor races in the autumn, and it looked really as if he'd rather gone over the top once autumn came along. He returned at Newmarket recently after an absence of nearly 9 months. He ran well for a long way and was still keeping on when he was hampered inside the final furlong, eventually finishing 6th, but only beaten 4 lengths in a decent 7 furlong good to soft handicap, and that showed me that he retains plenty of ability at this level. I think he'll be better off for that run as well, and I'm happy to say he's been dropped £2 for that effort. So with a fair draw in stall 7, I think he's got a solid each-way chance. And at around 7-1 at the time of this recording, with amongst others Bet365, who bet 5 places, Love de Vega is my choice for Wednesday, and he's the one that I'll be nailing my colours to. So those are my 2 for the first 2 days here at Glorious Goodwood. As I say, I'm covering this meeting and, of course, the Galway Festival in rather more detail and with more selections at Out in Front. And you can check the link at Patreon just below this screen. I'll be back on Wednesday with my selections ahead of Thursday and Friday at Glorious Goodwood. But whatever you choose to back, I wish you the very best of luck. Let's hope the meeting lives up to its title and that we see a bit of sunshine and it isn't a complete washout. Look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.